Welcome back to another pristine production, guys. I know we've been having a little bit of trouble lately, but let's get right down to it here. So I'm going to fire up the track here, and we're going to talk about how to get these mixing underway. So let's hit it. I'm going to be taking some questions as well. Let me know what you want to know. Brought to you by Modern Reggae Kit, the #1 reggae drum kit. I have two of them. I have the Lion kit as well, custom built by me. It's custom built by me for Contact, powered by Contact 6. So I'm going to go straight into it here. I do apologize for the setback here. So first of all, I'm going to isolate the drums here. And we're going to start off with the drum section. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off some of my my bus processing here and let you guys get a feel of the drum. So this is what I started off with. I have the drum kit playing. Sounds pretty nice right off the box. Now, first thing I did, I'm doing a power compression here. So I pulled up the SSL compressor here. I'm going to raise the volume, raise the fader until I hear that punchiness. Right about there. You want to get that drum nice and punchy. Now I'm also adding a little bit of reverb here. And getting a fairly big room, I want to do a little bit of pre-delay. So when I send the entire drum kit to that reverb, there you can hear that space. You want that space in your track. Along with a little bit of chorus, give me a little bit of width. Now let's tackle, let's get a little bit of listen of the bass here. I'm going to play the bass. Now people ask me sometimes, they're saying, Ray, how do you know, where did you get the bass from? Most of the time, guys, any bass can work. Electric basses, whether it comes from a vintage keyboard or one of those real acoustic bass. The key is to mixing the bass. So I'm going to pull up the Pro EQ here. And I'm going to show you some frequency that I pulled out. Now, if you listen to the bass, you're kind of hearing a little bit of flat mid-range. So I'm going to be pulling out a little bit of 435. I'm going to engage the EQ. Give you that deeper sound. Basically, this area here is mud. I don't need that. Pull it out. Sounds a little bit better. And I'm also rolling off a little bit of 30 here so we get a tighter bass. So you can hear that bass a little bit more boomy, and bring in a kick, bring in a reggae kit. Now, of course, you don't want to stop there. You want to get that big reggae dub bass sound, right? So, of course, I have my skank. Along with the M1. Now we're going to come back to the bass shortly. Now, I'm going to bring up the E channel from Eventide, and check this out. We removed some frequency here. We got to make sure we're keeping track of what we're doing. So I took out 435 at about 16 dB at a mid Q dip here. And of course, I'm taking out a little bit of 135. I'm gonna let you hear what 135 sounds like. That right there. Taking a little bit of that out there. Now, since this bass is old, this is why I'm doing a drastic dip here to get that sound. Before, a little bit of flabby, after. So don't be afraid to post your question, guys, while we're doing this live mix here. This is how we learn. I've worked with some of the best. I've learned a lot. Shout out to the people that work along with these big artists. Some of the engineers that work along with Beyonce have been kind enough to show me a couple tricks so I can implement that in the box. Now, so I'm cutting this 435 here, which gets rid of this mud. Now I'm using the Eventide here, and I'm boosting 447. You might say, Ray, why are you boosting 447 when you're cutting 435? Because this represents the upper mid-range. So I'm doing that with the Eventide. And I'm also going to be boosting about, let's see here, 4 dB at 50 kilohertz because we want that tick bass, along with a little bit of compression from Eventide here. So I'm going to engage. Let me bypass first. I'm going to bypass the compressor. I'm going to bypass the EQ plugin. Now let's put on let's bring in the 5-band parametric EQ from Eventide on. Now we're getting a little bit more of we're getting back some of the mid-range here with a little bit of finger movement here. I'm boosting this area here about, how did I know where to boost it? Right about there is good. And the reason why I have this Mount Everest looking drawing here on my EQ, because it sounds good in that area. You want to adjust the Q to tighten things up, but I want a broad range to be boosting here. And if you see, I'm still doing a little bit of cutting here, because when I boosted that top end, some of the mid-range was leaking back. So the 447 I'm cutting as well, about 3 dB. And I'm boosting that 50 kilohertz there at about 4 dB range. Now I'm going to engage the compressor here so we control that high frequency part. That part right there. So the compressor is smoothly controlling that, so it keeps it on that, on like a balanced level. So that's what I'm doing there. Let's see how that sounds with the drums. E channel off. Bass kind of flat, E channel on. Now we need some power on the drums as well. So I'm going to bring up the Gem EQ here. And what I always recommend, the guys, that you practice to mix in context. Don't do stuff solo, because chances are things that sound amazing solo might actually sound bad in a mix. So you need to. So I'm having the bass. I want that fatness. That's what I'm getting. I'm going to be using the Gem EQ495 here. It's a UAD type plugin. And I'm going to be boosting 2 dB at 100 kilohertz here, along with a little bit of body on the kick drum, about 250, about 2 dB. and a little bit of top end on the highs on 7K. You can see we have an input knob here. We have an output. We have high pass, which I'm high passing about 40. Yes, that works for drums. And we have the EQs, the bass, the mids, the highs. So check this out. I'm gonna turn on now the EQ. Check this out. On. Listen to that hard kick. I'm going to exaggerate. If I go to 60, see how it feels. Not as heavy. 40, 100. I'm getting more of that sub information. And then we have the body, of course, 250. Let's see how it sounds about a +4 at 250. It actually sounds good, actually. Let's go to about a +2 here on 250. See, I'm going to leave it at a +4. And this is the Q. And I'm getting a little bit of highs here. About 7K. EQ off. Now, since we've introduced the fatness of the drums, we have the fatness of the bass boop. Do apologize for the small drop, guys. So we're listening to the punch here. Let's bring in the rest of the instrument. And that's what we want. We want that solid sound there. I bring in the piano here. Now on the strat noise here, what I'm doing here is I'm adding a little bit of GTR to get a little bit more grit here on the strat noise. Let me go ahead and adding a little bit of distortion from the buzz and the stereo off. Sound a little bit flat on. Sometimes you got to dirty up stuff to get it a little bit more defined. The piano, I'm not doing much, just adding a little bit of reverb. Reverb off, reverb on. And then I'm adding a little bit of organ here. Now with this, let's bring in the bass here. I'm using the Waves VQ here to get a little bit of sheen on 10K here. A little bit of roll off, bypass, on. And I'm also using a little bit of REQ4 here. What I'm doing with this, I'm taking out a little bit of 110. This frequency here. Didn't like it, so pulling out like about 1 dB. While adding a little bit of delay here from the H delay to create a vibe, and I have the pad sound. Leaving there that by itself, and that's pretty much it right there. It's pretty much right there. Remember, guys, if you want to get the modern reggae kits, you can hit me up along with Lion Kit. Email me, I can send you the invoice. And as I mentioned before here, we're using the L2 just to hold back a little bit volume here, so nothing is clipping. So what we learned today is when it comes to the kick drums, analog EQ is the way to go. The UAD type overloud, along with the compressors, of course. So I'm going to leave that there with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, always to make sure you're properly gain staging. Keeping those faders at least underneath 0 and keeping the mix popping. So I want to thank you guys for being a part of my live stream. This is Mixing Reggae Roots, and I'm going to catch you guys on the next one.